Welcome back. We are World Cup Gridiron Podcast, NFL Indonesia Podcast, presented by World Cup Media. I'm your host Joey, and with my co-host Oka. Hari ini Ardio lagi berhalangan, dan tapi kita ada kedatangan Chief Amar sebagai pendukung Bears. Maybe the happiest boy in the world right now is Chief Amar ya. Crazy, that game was crazy, man.
Fuck the Packers.
Oh. How are you doing, guys? How are you doing? All good?
Alhamdulillah, baik.
Alhamdulillah.
Habis daily duty, sekarang mau menyempatkan diri because I want to talk about the Bears and.
Oh yeah.
Oh yes.
Yeah, Chief, congrats for being a daddy, man. Yeah.
Yes,
congrats.
Yeah, congrats, man. Let's go.
Probably 26 your best year ya, Bears. The best that it's ever been. Baru comeback lawan Packers, being a daddy. Tinggal nunggu Bears to Super Bowl, I guess. Ketemu Texans.
Inshallah. My Super Bowl prediction is going to be the Bears versus the Patriots, so everyone can be happy.
Jadi tenang aja. Today that's on the menu, boys. Kita bakal ngomongin Bears lawan Packers. Kita bakal preview Texans versus Patriots. That's all on the menu. Tapi gue mau nanya dulu, Oka. Steelers gone to where, Oka? Steelers gone to where?
Steelers gone to the what? I guess. Finally mereka tetap winning season, tapi somehow, some way, the Rooney family tiba-tiba melihat keajaiban, melihat mukjizat, tiba-tiba mereka berpikir, okay, Mike Tomlin is not the answer anymore. Dan apa yang terjadi kemarin?
Hilang Tomlin step down, resign dari Steelers habis dispeng sama Texans 36. Itu game gila banget sih. Gue ngeliat data kan di summersports.com, Texans cuma ngeblitz 5%. Ya kan? 5%. Dan pressure-nya 40%. The pressure rate is 40% dari blitz 5%. That was crazy.
Insane,
crazy stuff. That's insane. Nah, selain itu nih, LA banyak banget minggu ini dapat makan korban. LA Chargers kalah lawan Patriots 16-3. Greg Roman dipecat. Ya kan? Yes. Justin Herbert off. Tapi gue mau nanya dulu nih. Justin Herbert punya 2 passing touchdown kan dalam 3 playoff appearance. Lu bisa tebak nggak? Ada satu player non quarterback juga punya 2 passing touchdown dan ada di playoff tahun ini. Siapa kira-kira?
Satu Jawan Jennings.
Jawan Jennings, yeah, you are correct.
Thanks.
Jawan Jennings have as many passing touchdown as Justin Herbert. At least Herbert pulang ke Madison Beer lah ya.
Not the only ball that he throw, tapi seenggaknya yang di lapangan meleset tapi.
Iya, at least off field he won something off field. Itu kalau putus sih gue jadi Justin Herbert, loncat sih gue dari lantai 2. Udah nggak punya apa-apa gitu. Udah nggak punya apa-apa. Dan selain itu Bills and Jacks itu juga good game ya, tapi Jacks kalah. Gue yakin Oka senang banget ya. Josh Allen and James Cook combined 300 something yards from the ground and from the passing yards, total 3 touchdown. Crazy.
Ada yang nonton ini nggak interviewnya Liam Cohen di post game interview?
Gua yang dipuji bukan sih?
There's this clip yang dia di interview sama kayak wartawan yang kalau lo dengar dari suaranya dia udah tua, kayak si wartawan dia bilang kayak you got this, go for it next season, Duval. It's really touching, and I personally like how Liam Cohen actually brought Justin Herbert, Trevor Lawrence back to life, karena bisa dibilang karirnya agak hidup mati ya udah beberapa tahun terakhir, sampai akhirnya dia bisa mendekati apa yang ya kita kira-kira bakalan jadi kayak gitu pas tahun dia di draft sih. So yes. I'm really excited for the Jaguars, and it's always great to see kalau misalnya AFC South itu nggak bloodbath yang sampah, tapi yang beneran bloodbath kayak AFC North. It's really fun to see.
Yes, that's correct. Trevor Lawrence tahun ini total 34 touchdown by the way. 38 touchdown, 12 interception, 29 passing, 9 rushing. It's crazy number gitu. Dari yang banyak dilabelin sama NFL expert wash kan di awal musim. And gue juga angkat tangan. Gue sempat mikir kayak this guy ain't it gitu. But I was wrong. Liam Cohen really hidupin lagi karir Trevor Lawrence yang I thought it was done before it begins. And ada satu korban lagi nih. Ini nih baru aja di breakdown sama produser kita, OBS Master Andra. Eagles versus 49ers. Yes, kalah. Eagles kalah 23-19. CMC 114 scrimmage yards, 2 touchdown. Dan kalian harus lihat breakdownnya. Why? The Eagles lost against 49ers. Kalian harus
lihat. Rest in peace Kevin Patullo. May you rot in hell. Fuck
bye-bye. Gue sih sedih. Gue sih I thought he was a great OC sih. Harusnya dikasih 1 tahun lagi di Eagles.
You'll have to watch the whole 6 minutes yang Andra breakdown tuh. Basically solusinya, if I can wrap it up, it's first and inshallah. Yeah, that is just have AJ Brown, have Devonta Smith just go all the way to the top. And let them solve the shit.
Yes, and then you have that like 2 tight end, the like a mesh atau crosser route. Tapi di situ Andre ngasih tahu kan itu 49ers sit. Mereka tuh sit, dia already sit on that routes gitu. The minute before even the ball snap, the play was over to begin with. Mereka udah lihat. That was a great breakdown by Andra. Lu semua harus nonton sih. Di TikTok kita, di Warkop Media atau di Instagram Warkop Media. Nah, satu lagi sih yang gue kaget itu gue nggak nonton the whole thing ya. Gue bangun tuh kayak udah quarter 3 kali Rams versus Panthers. Gue nggak nyangka.
I love this game.
Gue nggak nyangka loh itu bakal jadi seseru itu. I thought it was gonna be one-sided match. Ternyata itu went down to the wire ya. Trailing 27-31. Stafford 7 play, 71 yards drive in 2 minutes. 19 yards passing touchdown to Colvin Parkinson. Nah, di sini sih yang gue aneh ya. Gue tuh ngelihat sequence itu kan, dan Ejiro Evero di sini Panthers, mereka almost the whole Stafford drive, mereka lupa kali mereka lawan calon MVP. Mereka cuma main prevent defense rush 3 dan hampir 6-7 defensive back jauh di belakang gitu kan.
Iya.
Nah, gue bingung, soalnya that happened to me di Broncos game kan, Shane Bowen the terrorist. Gue pengen tahu sih Kak. Yes. And I think people should know ya Kak, why prevent defense Kak? Mungkin lo bisa jelasin apa sih prevent defense dan kenapa itu nggak pernah bekerja, especially kalau lu ngejagain lead, apalagi di akhir menit.
Iya. Oke, jadi kita mungkin bisa lihat dari konteksnya dari pas last drive ini ya. Jadi posisinya kan waktu itu 31-27 for Panthers gitu kan.
Yes.
31-27. Lalu juga this is practically the last drive. Kalau misalkan Panthers getting 1 stop, it's over buat LA Rams.
Betul.
Tapi di sini juga Rams is one of the better team in terms of yards after catch. Jadi, kita mungkin balik lagi ke prevent defense tadi. Prevent defense itu biasanya menggunakan 7 defensive backs, 6-7 defensive backs, terus habis itu defensive back itu mundur untuk ke certain area of the field gitu, dan agak jauh. Biasanya mungkin ya at least 10 yards untuk yang paling dekat dengan line of scrimmage, sisanya mungkin akan main 3-4 deep defensive backs. Nah, mungkin dalam pemikirannya Panthers sendiri itu karena mereka mau preserve the lead, karena pasti mereka tahu kalau Rams akan ngincar touchdown. But at the same time, sebenarnya Rams sendiri still have a very good offensive weapons, seperti bukan Nakua, terus habis itu kemarin Devonta Adams juga balik lagi kan. And they have maybe one of the better group of tight ends di NFL. Makanya mereka juga sering main 1-3 personnels with 3 tight ends. Lalu juga mereka juga punya running back yang bisa dibilang produktif. So this is not the offense yang bisa ditangani dengan kayak mereka main dengan hati-hati gitu. You have to still attack the line of scrimmage. Nah itu yang kemarin nggak dilakuin sama Panthers. Jadi, and this is LA Rams selain juga dengan offensive weapon yang luar biasa banyak, itu juga mereka punya one of the all-time leader in fourth quarter comeback, yaitu Matthew Stafford. Jadi ya menurut gue secara pemikiran in the logic kind of things sebenarnya ya agak cukup masuk akal sebenarnya untuk mereka doing the prevent defense, tapi kayak do it at the end of kayak mungkin tinggal 12 detik atau 20 detik last 2-3 plays lah gitu. Jangan kayak all the time.
Iya.
Iya.
It was almost the whole thing, man. The whole drive. It was crazy.
Jadi basically itu kayak membuka ruang bagi Rams buat maju drive down the field 7 plays only di last drive practically, dan 38 detik sebelum pertandingan berakhir itu hampir kalau nggak salah 20 yard touchdown pass ke one of the tight end, Colby Parkinson.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes.
Jadi ya secara teori I think it's okay to do that, tapi it's another theory adalah jangan dilakuin like every single place gitu deh.
I agree with you wholeheartedly. Dan ini I forget whose quote is this, cuma ada yang bilang prevent defense is actually preventing you from winning. Jadi gue benci banget apalagi abis ngeliat Sean Bowen ngelakuin itu pas lawan Broncos. But yeah, this is I saved the best for the last. Packers versus Bears. Probably the best game of the week, ya nggak sih? Gue nonton first half udah 2-1-3, Dobbs touchdown, Watson touchdown, Rich touchdown. Kayaknya udah abis, gue yakin Amar di grup chat kita udah kayak bodo amat, udahlah kalah ini, udah nggak mungkin gitu kan. And then Caleb Williams turned into Mega Mahomes, the prince that was promised. Crazy sih. Kita selalu ngomongin Caleb Williams akurasinya nggak bagus. Itu still true even in that game, tapi he delivered in the most important moments. That's all that counts. Ya kan? That throw to Colston Loveland yang dia dikejar, gue kira itu bakal kena sack. He ran to the side and then throw while being hit. I think itu ke Loveland ya. That was crazy throw, man. That was like really one of the best throw that I've ever seen sih.
Caleb juga sebenarnya sneaky athletic juga sebenarnya.
Yes, kan? Yes. Dia kayak belut, dia hampir susah banget buat di sack. I think the most improvement that Caleb Williams did di tahun 2024 sama Eberflus dan Sean Waldron dengan Ben Johnson adalah dia limiting the sack rate. That's what he did. Itu improvement yang paling kelihatan. Dan selain itu juga, walaupun Caleb Williams gila banget, jangan lupa MVP of this game I think belongs to the tight end, the round one Colston Loveland, 8 reception to 137 yards. Gila, itu orang selalu open sih, kayak dia selalu found pokoknya kalau gue lihat bola, defense-nya Packers main zone, somehow Loveland ada di soft spot, somehow some way he was always open, right? Crazy. Nah, gue mau nanya dulu nih Amar, what when you're through your mind the whole freaking game, what goes through your mind? You gotta take us to the right, man.
Play your best. Never let it best. And then you could get better, and you better get best. Bears on 3. 1, 2, 3. Bears. Let's fucking go. Let's go.
Amar deserve this, boy. After all the suffering he's been through.
Gue juga menyaksikan waktu dulu Amar bereaksi dengan double doing-nya.
That's crazy, man. The double doing, the NFL 100
dan
game juga yang kita
ini kemenangan pertama kali sejak kapan ya? Kemenangan pertama kali Bears di playoff sejak like 2011?
I think so, yeah. The last time we went to the playoff, we lost to the Eagles. And the last time we met the Packers is also, I think, in 2010 or 2011. Sama sebelumnya di 1876 kali. Udah lama banget. Way before I was born. So this is actually the third time we met in the playoff. Dan akhirnya menang lawan Packers. So I'll start with this. Gue akan menceritakan apa yang terjadi di hari itu. Jadi, as you guys know, gue baru punya anak. Gue baru
Yes.
punya anak, anaknya baru umurnya 40 hari lah gitu, nyawanya baru ditiup sama Tuhan tuh. Nah, dia udah mulai gede dan udah mulai nggak terlalu dependent sama orang tuanya, in a sense that ya nggak harus disusuin setiap sejam sekali, dan produksi ASI bini gue tuh udah oke gitu. So we stockpile a few bottles of milk for him, and so we stockpile that, so just in case that we need them, atau misalnya kita mau nitipin apa segala macam, kita ada. Jadi minggu lalu gue pas game ini berlangsung, gue lagi di rumah mertua. Di rumah mertua, gue udah lama nggak ke rumah mertua, nyampe sana dikasih cucu gitu ya mertua gue. Terus, kamu nggak pergi, kamu nggak coba main, pergilah mainlah gitu. Akhirnya bini gue kayak, yang aku mau sarapan dong, aku mau cari matcha dong, aku mau cari salt bread dong, lagi di BSD nih. And it was like 8:30 or 9 a.m. in the morning, which is the time that the game started, right?
Yes.
So I was like, fuck it, let's do it. Yaudah, pergi deh. Pergi. Gue sempat nonton awal-awal di mana yang the Bears actually throwing opportunities on 4th downs. The initial thought ketika itu dilakukan adalah, man, fuck this team, fuck this shit. I hate Ben Johnson. This is me done with the Bears and everything. I'm going to root for the Patriots. That's my initial thought. But then we left, kita sarapan bakmi apa segala macam. Baterai gue tuh udah mulai tipis di situ. Jadi gue scroll, ini mana ini nggak ada perlawanan nih. Gitu. Sampai akhirnya di satu titik baterai gue habis, tak ada isinya, udah kita lagi di tempat salt bread. Gue nempelin bini gue terus, yang gue pinjam HP lu dong. Ngapain sih? Gue mau lihat live score. Live score apaan? Bears. Kan lu tahu gue doyan nonton Bears. Terus akhirnya yaudah aku bukain. Dia bukain. The score was 20-16. Terus sebelum touchdown-nya Romeo Doubs yang kosong banget lah itu, yang akhirnya ngelos, jadi kan beda skornya 27-16 tuh.
Iya.
Lah kita lagi ngantri mau situlah. Kita lagi ngantri mau bayar, refresh. Dari 20-16 jadi 27-16 tuh. Terus gue kayak, kan gue di tempat umum nih. Cuman bisa, gue nggak bisa swearing. Di situ. Terus dia lihat muka gue, kenapa sih? Ya itu lu lihat tuh, tim gue kalah, gila. Dia nunjukin, gue nunjukin tuh. Sekarang skornya 27-16. Ini kalau mau menang berapa nih? 2 touchdown lagi kan? Oh, ternyata bini gue ngikutin football, dia ngerti dia.
Paham.
Dia paham deh hitungan football, dia primbonnya paham deh. 1 touchdown tuh 6 poin tambah 1
extra poin gitu 7. Kan, ya?
Iya, 2 bola. Beda 2 bola. Paham dia. Oh iya, beda 2 bola. Ya udah. Ini mah paling kalah gitu. Dia ngeceng-cengin gue aja. Ini mah paling kalah. Dia mah perlu gue gituin kan. Nah, gue pokoknya nyupir dari tempat ke tempat tuh. Tempat A, B, C, D. Termasuk adalah segala ngambilin kue di tempatnya tante gue. Tempatnya sepupu gue. Pokoknya I run errands lah on that time. So every minute I was driving and I was like, Yang, what's the score? Refresh every minute. Refresh, gue bilang gitu. Dan gue minta dia untuk ngebacain apa situasinya. Jadi gue ajarin dia ngebacain. Jadi kalau misalnya ada tulisan 3 sama 10, berarti 3rd and 10. 3rd and 10 itu artinya adalah udah kesempatan ketiga, sisa 10 yard. Iya, gue jelasin gitu. Kamu bacain. Titiknya di bawah nama timnya ada berapa? Sisa berapa titiknya? Itu apaan, Yang? Itu sisa time out. Gue mau tahu sisa time outnya berapa. I really have to know. Akhirnya pelan-pelan, Yang touchdown, Yang. Oh iya, touchdown. Siapa yang touchdown? DeAndre Swift running. Oke. Terus dia refresh lagi, nambah 2 poinnya. Oh gitu, nambah 2 poinnya. Siapa? Colston Loveland. Oh iya, oke. Gue refresh aja. Terus akhirnya gue nyampe di tempat terakhir tuh, ngambil kue. Itu udah kayak tinggal sisa berapa menit terakhir. Gue duduk, gue nggak mau masuk ke rumah kakak gue. gue refresh gini aja, gue gini aja, terus refresh sampai akhirnya, anjing touchdown man, touchdown DJ Moore. Nah, udah touchdown DJ Moore, menit-menit terakhir gue tungguin sampai akhirnya udah nih menang nih, udah gagal play terakhir Packers, gue kayak gue begini di mobil. Terus di situ di mobil tuh ada bini gue sama ada adik ipar gue, kayak
Ini orang kenapa, bro?
lu kenapa?
Siapa with you, man?
Lu kenapa?
Kenapa?
Kalau
It
misalkan
was-
bahasa sekarang itu kayak ngopo.
Lau kenapa?
Gua nggak nonton pertandingannya, but I was there the whole time. Like I was being updated. I got you guys also in the group chat and everything. It was really, if you ask me what I'm feeling, I was really ecstatic, luar biasa. Gua nggak pernah sesenang itu menang pertandingan. Ini ngelebihin senangnya gue pas nonton Patriots menang Super Bowl, karena ini adrenalinnya luar biasa. Ini gokil banget. Let me talk about the game side of this. Tadi kan itu apa yang gue alami, itu ceritanya gue. So actually before we tape this, sehari sebelum ya, kayaknya kemarin apa 2 hari yang lalu, gue ngobrol sama Andra di grup kan ya. Ini Ben Johnson nih ngehe nih gitu. Dia throughout the game dia coba ngasih tunjuk gitu ya, skema bahwa gue akan gain yard after catch, atau kita akan main banyakan oper pendek melalui screen, flat routes and everything. But then on the moment when it counts the most gitu ya, ketika di momen yang paling genting itu, he did this play where he instructed Luther Burden to fake his screen, terus jadi si siapa namanya DJ Moore jadi kosong karena safety-nya, the defensive backs jadi maju kan gitu, kosong, it was wide open and it led to that game winning touchdown, man. Itu menurut gue that gave us a good example of how good Ben Johnson is as a coach. And I'm really excited to have him. Also, one more thing about the Bears and everything, this Bears team, this Bears game, have a very big cultural significance to not only the NFL but the city of Chicago itself. Michael Jordan won 6 rings in Chicago. He was basically the hero of the town. But during that period, even during that time when Michael Jordan was the GOAT and everything, the city actually still cares a lot more about Chicago Bears, on how they celebrated the Bears and how they well, you can see it in the bars, you can see how people talk about it. And the last time the Bears actually won a Super Bowl was with Jim McMahon and Mike Ditka in 1985. Udah lama gitu. So the Bears football, being one of the oldest team in the NFL, second after the Packers, have actually great significance in the city of Chicago. This win, this momentum against the Packers, and also that play, the Jordan Jumpman sign play, 4th and 8, it was not to Lawson tapi ke Rome Odunze.
Ya. Itu yang pas di 4th down bukan sih ya?
Yeah, 4th and 8. The second catch of second catch of Rome Odunze, dia cuma nangkap 2 kali di pertandingan itu. Kalau dilihat-lihat lagi ya, in retrospect, it could be one of the greatest play in the NFL history. Dilihat dari konteksnya lawan Packers, dilihat dari konteksnya kalau play itu nggak dapat Bears jadi nggak bisa menang, Bearsnya sendiri, the significance of Bears football in Chicago. I mean, it was really the perfect play for the NFL. The NFL could not ask for any better play. What a game, what a play. Caleb Williams, Ben Johnson, Bears in 4. Bears in 4. 1 game, 3 games left.
3 games left. Ya, other than that juga yang gue seru ya. Akhirnya Packers Bears juga ada rivalry lagi. Kayaknya Ben Johnson and Matt LaFleur they hate each other, man. They hate each
Oh,
other guts.
I love that rivalry, man. I love it.
And NFL need this, man. Gue nggak butuh ngelihat Iberflus dulu sama MLF nonton basket bareng. That was some kind of bullshit, man. Gue butuh two petty guys doing like this. Tapi ya, and another side of this game, kita cek ke Packers ya, Oka ya. Packers second half probably itu one of the worst disastrous second half ever, ya kan. Kayak mereka nggak skor apa-apa di third quarter, di fourth quarter pun mereka ada miss field goal. Brandon McManus miss a field goal and I think extra point attempt, right?
Yeah.
It was a disaster. Kalau lu cek nih EPA-nya ya buat second half total EPA itu minus 12 by the way buat Packers. Ya kan? It's crazy, man. Berarti semua yang mereka lakukan itu berhasil dengan either interception, sacks atau just punt. It was like a disaster. What's wrong Oka di Packers the second half? Dari yang lu tonton.
Oh ya, itu pertandingan. Gue akan ngambil contoh dari pertandingan kemarin dulu aja ya. Kayak a lot of play calls is felt very off. Kayak mereka pas masuk fourth quarter mereka still leading 21-6 kan.
Betul.
Tapi instead of like mencoba kayak keep the defense of the Bears guessing, itu mereka kayak settling with
going for the touchdown. Dia nge-push terus itu.
Tapi jadi mereka tuh somehow too conservative and too predictables in terms of play calling. Dan I think their defense has been really exposed pertandingan kemarin. Like fourth quarter Bears di pertandingan kemarin itu 25 poin. Only in fourth quarter.
Yes.
Yeah. Dan a lot of busted coverage. Lalu juga mereka juga kayak banyak yang lost in their assignments di pertandingan kemarin. Tapi I think in this game sebenarnya makanya kita juga sempat bahas tentang Matt LaFleur. I think about him, it's a still good coach. Tapi kayak musim ini tuh banyak hal yang membuat dia jadi banyak tanda tanya gitu. 7 seed in the last 3 season dan juga ini juga first round exit. I think last year dia menang playoff game or not? I think enggak ya kayaknya.
Enggak. Dia terakhir menang playoff game itu 2023. Kemarin tuh kalah 2024 tuh dia
sama Niners ya sih kalahnya.
Ya, kalau nggak salah sama Niners ya.
Second seed-nya kalau nggak salah second seed-nya waktu tahun lalu itu I think it's Eagles, I guess ya. Kayak tahun lalu. Eagles. But seenggaknya satu titik terang dari pertandingan kemarin adalah Jordan Love is actually showing how good he is. Walaupun di regular season ya dia pertanyaannya adalah dia maybe it's too steady, not like the game changer like Rodgers or Favre. Tapi pertandingan kemarin dengan 4 touchdown, which by the way itu juga 3 touchdown di first quarter.
Yes, kan? Itu betul.
And after that the offense went silent.
Apalagi run game die. Run game mereka die di second quarter.
Bisa stop run game oke banget sih itu. That defense-nya.
55 rushing yards dari Josh Jacobs. Jadi ya they have a lot of things to work on di off season ini. Dan gua rasa it's not only about getting healthier karena kemarin juga mereka main masih tanpa Micah Parsons yang out for season, but mereka harus improve in the whole scheme of things, nggak hanya kayak mereka ngedraft WR atau ngetrade for another good tight end gitu, tapi scheme wise itu mereka juga banyak yang harus dibenahi.
Betul.
Apalagi dengan NFC North yang menurut gue this is the hardest NFC North has ever been since like how long is it, dengan Bears udah di seat 2. Vikings I think can still rebound from last regular season. Dan
With
you
nine?
cannot
With
with
nine?
nine I think there's some chance gitu, karena bisa jadi Kevin O'Connell still doesn't really familiarize himself dengan nine. But yeah, selain itu juga Detroit Lions kalau misalkan mereka menemukan play caller yang better than what they have
With Arthur Smith?
Arthur
The
Smith.
Juice just came in recently though. Belum lama nih kita taping. Arthur
Langsung
Smith
dia lagi
is going to be
diwawancara.
the offensive
Kalau gue jadi
coordinator.
if I was Lions, I will never let Mike McDaniels out from the building, man. Just give him what he wants.
Arthur Smith jadi interview, I think itu kayak cuman formalitas aja. Hopefully not, karena ibaratkan lu punya Lamborghini tapi yang ngedrive itu kayak orang buta gitu. Lu punya Jared Goff, Jahmyr Gibbs, Amon-Ra St. Brown, David Montgomery, Jemo, lalu juga Sam Laporta and everyone else, and yang drive itu ya Arthur Smith nanti.
By the way, gue punya stat menarik. Ini gue lagi lihat Summer Sports kan, one of the best website. Kalau lu semua kayak pengen addicted sama NFL stats, Summer Sports is one of the best. You guys should check. First half, Green Bay Packers ya. Ini karena lu tadi ngomong second half, kita lagi ngomong, gue jadi iseng ngecek statnya. And I think this will blow your mind. First half, 9 completion from 15 attempt, 138 yard. Totalnya 17,9 EPA kan, 3 touchdown. Dan run game-nya 16 attempt, 93 yards, 0,52 rush EPA. Pas second half, passing-nya masih positif, tapi 15/31, 184 yards, 0,04 EPA. Lo mau tahu? Lo tebak di second half nih, gue lagi ngeliat statnya Summer Sports, lo nggak boleh ngeliat. Berapa rushing yard yang Packers dapat di second half? Tebak.
I would say 6.
Yeah, 6. You're correct. 7 attempt, only 6 yards.
Gue bersumpah gue nggak melihat dari websitenya, tapi gue punya firasat kalau that I think it's the right numbers.
Andra.
Ya, produser.
Gue kan tadi kan gue pas si Joey bilang dia lagi buka Summer Sport, gue juga lagi buka Summer Sport kan. Dan gue tadinya udah mau bring up itu poin kayak rushing yards-nya Packers cuma 6 di second half. Attemptnya cuma 7. Gue mau bring up, coba ini bilang ini Packers abandon the run game gitu sampai di second half. Tapi pas gue lihat play by play-nya, jadi sebenarnya bukan necessarily mereka abandon the run game, tapi emang karena mereka udah coba early run di third quarter terutama. Tapi emang defense-nya run defense-nya Bears itu bagus. Dan ketika mereka mau terus coba run, ya skornya udah keburu kekejar, mereka harus balik ke passing lagi. So itu aja. Thank you.
Dan juga di pertandingan lawan Bears kemarin juga di second half banyak third down and long, ya kan? Yeah. Karena either running game-nya udah jadi nggak efektif, tadi 6 rushing yards, atau memang sudah pass attempt di second down tapi kayak nggak efektif. So itu salah satu penyebab juga kemarin offense mereka really stale and getting shut out di second half, except for dari touchdown-nya Matthew Golden yang di
faktor lain Brandon McManus missed 3 kicks which costed them 7 points. Dua extra point, 2 field goal,
2 missed field goal, dan 1 extra point missed. That's 7 points, man.
Krusial sih. 7 poin tuh lumayan loh.
Kalau McManus made all of them, Packers would have won. But if my balls, he would be my uncle. Cuma emang Packers the special team or emang selalu jadi ini sih Achilles heel mereka. It's been like that even before Rich Bisaccia ya. Kita punya banyak fans Packers, Daus, Rehan, Julian, mereka selalu bring up special team sih. Tapi jujur ya, gue takut. Gue kan hari ini senang ya, gue dapat John Harbaugh sebagai my head coach. Senang banget.
Selamat dulu.
Selamatin gue. This is my Super Bowl, man.
Selamat dulu.
This is my Super Bowl. Nah, gue sempet takut banget Packers pecat MLF ya kan, gue sempet takut banget karena anjir itu kalau gue jadi presiden Packers gue pecat sih. Lu chalk against your biggest rival depan 30 juta orang nonton, what is crazy man. Tapi akhirnya enggak, ya kan Adam Schefter bilang mereka lagi work on a new deal. Lu setuju gak sih MLF balik ke Packers? Like are they or they plateau? Ini yang kemarin gue bawa ya stats di tahun yang kemarin ya. Sejak siapa namanya Aaron Rodgers retire, statsnya Matt LaFleur juga langsung turun banget kan. Kayak nih gue bacain ya. I want to give you like the whole thing just to remind you. Nih MLF with Rodgers for season 47-19, 12 wins per season. MLF record after Rodgers 29-211, average 10 wins in 3 seasons. So do you guys think this is correct decision? Yes, let's start with Amar.
Well, here's the thing though. I never see Matt LaFleur as a bad coach per se. Well, for the sake of rivalry, I hate him. But if I'm being honest, if I'm being objective, ya terhadap situasinya Packers and everything, I like him as a coach. He did really well. Teman-teman Packers juga udah bilang nih tuh nggak sepenuhnya salah Matt LaFleur, perlu perombakan juga di special teams. The offensive coordinators need to work on things as well. I mean, beberapa poin tadi udah dibawa sama gue, jadi doubling downnya Oka nih gitu, poin-poin udah dibawa sama Oka gitu. But then again, I think this would gue bisa bilang jadi rada nyambung sama apa yang kejadian di Steelers sama Mike Tomlin. In the sense that gue mau bawa perkara coaching ini tuh ke gimana kita ngelihat satu permasalahan dalam sudut pandang korporat. Joey, you know very well about corporate competition where people comes and goes, right?
Yeah, correct.
Exactly right. Nah, jadi kalau di corporate itu ngelihatnya tim-tim yang punya head coach kayak Matt LaFleur and then Mike Tomlin yang dipertahanin cukup lama, tapi dia nggak bisa sampai achieve di Super Bowl, itu kayak tim yang kayak perusahaan ya, dia punya target KPI itu let's say 100% gitu. Tiap tahun dia selalu achieve 100,1%. Jadi dia achieve terus tapi nggak ada
improvement,
nggak ada improvement yang signifikan, nggak ada big win-nya, nggak ada gebrakannya, nggak ada breakthrough-nya. Kayak misalnya di market lain tuh orang-orang udah develop 100 produk baru, dia masih dengan lini produk yang sama, tapi ya dia dengan target itu being conventional ya segitu-segitu aja. Sementara this 32 franchise yang ada di NFL ini, mereka punya mindset untuk compete, untuk bisa dapetin the highest price gitu ya, yaitu winning the Super Bowl. Even tim kayak Raiders pun by deliberately losing games, it's one of their strategy to eventually win the Super Bowls. These 32 franchises are very competitive. Jadi wajar aja kalau misalnya di musim ini banyak pergerakan head coaches, pertanyaan seperti apakah head coaches A itu sebaiknya dipertahankan, atau misalnya kenapa coach B ini belum apa-apa udah dicabut gitu. Karena the league is getting more competitive than ever. We can see in the games di musim ini, kita lihat banyak week 1 ada game of the year, week 2 ada game of the year, week 3 ada game of the year. Tiap minggu NFL Meme selalu bilang, is this game of the year, is this game of the year, itu terus sampai week 18. And then we come into the playoff, the wild card games, we have 4 games like this. Is this game of the year? The question keeps on repeating. It gets very much competitive. That's why the dynamics in head coaches are very interesting. I think in the case of Packers, gue personally ngelihatnya ini masih bisa diselesaikan. Nggak seharusnya tergesa-gesa untuk ganti head coach pecat atau apa gitu. I mean, you've been in a position where ini kayaknya bisa diselamatin deh. Kalau lu pada kerja gitu ya, lu pada lihat di kantor, ini janganlah dipecat dulu, janganlah ini dulu gitu. But then in the case of Mike Tomlin ini udah kepanjangan gitu loh.
Betul.
Mike Tomlin udah kepanjangan sampai kayak apa ya gue bisa bilang, dalam tenurnya dia yang panjang ini, dynamics Steelers ini benar-benar naik turun berubah. Ada poin di mana kita bisa bilang agak kasar sih, this Steelers team under Mike Tomlin is dysfunctional. AB jadi diva, kemudian Le'Veon Bell ogah-ogahan, Juju Smith-Schuster kagak jelas gitu. But there were moments when if it all clicks together, they become one heck of a team gitu. Even Mike Tomlin won a Super Bowl with Ben Roethlisberger kan. Jadi kayak kalau udah pada di level yang udah mature, udah abis gitu. Walaupun sebenarnya secara kelihatan ya dia kalau dari sudut pandang perspektif korporat perusahaan dia achieve, tapi kalau ngeliat di perusahaan-perusahaan lainnya, mereka udah inovasi bikin produk apa, mereka udah bikin inisiatif apa, mereka udah peduli sama ESG apa segala macam. I think this is the case for the Steelers, so that's why they decided to move on from Mike Tomlin. Mike Tomlinnya yang resign sih ya. Mike Tomlinnya udahlah gitu, gue udah selesai lah gitu. I think it's the best for both parties, Mike Tomlin and the Steelers as well. I mean that's how it goes. Kenapa musim jadi menurut gua the competitiveness jadi menjawab kenapa di musim ini banyak pergantian coach itu. I think that's my two cents.
Ya, satu statement juga yang selain juga tentang Mike Tomlin yang I think it's already like 18 years di Steelers. Ya, selain itu juga satu lagi long time coaches yang kemarin udah sempat kita bahas itu John Harbaugh yang dipecat. Kalau John Harbaugh dipecat, sedangkan Mike Tomlin resign. Itu mungkin satu statement yang mewakili kayak situasi dari their franchise and the coaches is the game has passed you by. Gitu. Mereka udah bukan lagi the young hotshot coach yang waktu 2008 itu mereka di-hire sebagai one of the young upcoming rising coach, dan mereka udah menang Super Bowl, tapi setelah itu they don't really do anything else. At least Harbaugh pernah like twice gitu menjadi first seed timnya. So his team after Super Bowl sometimes can be really good, tapi kayak sebelum Lamar Jackson it's very meh gitu. Tapi Mike Tomlin situation is quite unique gitu kan, kayak dia menang Super Bowl di tahun 2008-2009 itu lawan Cardinals, gue inget. Dan setelah itu sempat masuk Super Bowl di 2010. After that rekor dia itu I think 3-6 di playoffs. Terakhir kali mereka menang playoff game Steelers itu adalah di 2017. Itu lawan Chiefs.
2016 terakhir.
Ya, 2016 season di 2017. Itu lawan Chiefs, dan habis itu kalah sama Patriots kan di AFC Championship. Setelah itu they went 0-6. Mereka kalah sama Jaguars, mereka kalah sama Browns, mereka kemarin kalah sama Texans. So, jadi Tomlin living off those one rings like Doc Rivers di NBA itu adalah sinyal bahwa there's no more loyalty di NFL. There's no more loyalty to someone who has served, yang udah menjadi pelatih selama bertahun-tahun. This game is about bringing innovation, dan Mike Tomlin mungkin udah not in that position anymore. Gitu.
I think Julian Edelman yang juga bilang kan, kalau nggak salah di podcast, dia bilang kayak defense-nya Mike Tomlin tuh dari zaman dia main sampai dia tonton tuh masih sama kayak gitu, kayak it's the same stuff all over again. Dan dia nggak mau adapt ya kan. Dan lu juga tahu sendiri kali ya, Mike Tomlin offense, walaupun dia ganti OC ya, Arthur Smith, Matt Canada, dan sebelumnya Randy Fichtner kalau nggak salah.
The system still the same. The system
still the same. Dia nggak mau attack middle of field karena di situ interception sering terjadi kan. Dia lebih senang main konservatif, throw it to the sideline. And in this day and age, you cannot do it like that, man. So, gue agree banget sih. Tomlin step down. I think it was good decision for both of them to move on. And I think Steelers finally harus ngelakuin apa yang harusnya mereka harus lakuin. Tanking, reset, get that quarterback, or otherwise you're stuck in this purgatory, man. Gak bisa. They gotta do it. Gue bakal start Will Howard the whole season in order to tank. Karena kalau lo lihat semua, nih kemarin gue, I think interesting tweet ya, kayak sekarang semua divisional team quarterbacknya first round quarterback, kecuali Brock Purdy, gitu. Bahkan kalau lo go back to wildcard, hampir semuanya first round quarterback kecuali again Brock Purdy dan Jalen Hurts, gitu. Ya, jadi kayak the stats speak for themselves. Lu harus take swing to first round quarterback and they have to be like in like top 10 gitu. Yang mereka ada two first rounder di 24 dan 26 itu Aaron Rodgers dan Jordan Love. That's how rare it is to find a good quarterback in that specific area gitu kan. Makanya that's what I think Steelers should do. Tapi ngomong-ngomong quarterback, ya ini mungkin gue pengen sekedar update ya, di tahun 2026 probably one of the worst quarterback class kali ya, karena Dante Moore, Oregon quarterback, finally dia balik ke sekolah, dia nggak declare, dia dapat $7,5 juta. That's how crazy NIL is. Jadi kalau mungkin lo nggak tahu ya, sejak tahun 2022 nih college football player itu boleh dibayar, either dibayar langsung atau lewat NIL. Yes, pakai sponsor gitu. Jadi lo muncul di sponsor. Dulu kalau zaman-zaman sebelum 2022, lo muncul di sponsor, lo nggak boleh dapat duit.
Kena penalti dan beasiswa soliditas.
Betul, karena lo amatur dibilangnya kan, lo student athlete, lo nggak boleh menerima duit. Although ada yang bilang kayak misalnya dulu sekolah kayak Alabama kayak naruh duit.
Ada
lah. Ya lu tau gak sih, mungkin lu kalau ingat ya foto Derrick Henry on the hood with a car, lu pas dia masih di Alabama, lu harus cek the foto, man. Lu harus cek the foto, itu mas kayak nggak mungkin orang gak dibayar.
Produser coba bisa ditayangin nggak di sini nih?
Ya. Lu harus lihat deh, lu bisa Google lihat Derrick Henry Alabama car gitu misalnya. Itu dulu, ya itu dulu gila banget nih, gue lihat ini nggak mungkin deh, ini Ferrari coy. Dia jadi kayak foto di hoodnya dia pakai Ferrari pas dia di Alabama. Like nggak mungkin nggak dibayar. Nah tapi sekarang itu legal semuanya. Kalau lu nonton college football atau baru ngikutin, sekarang itu bayar legal. Dan Moore balik ke sekolah $7,5 juta. Buat apa dia ke NFL? Ya kan, lu main santai. Iya, $7,5 juta setahun lagi.
Easier competition juga kan di college dibandingkan NFL. Jadi
jauh.
Lu basically dapat first round salary di college yang mainnya lu bisa stat pads atau play easier competition dibandingkan NFL.
Betul.
100% business decision itu.
Yes, it was a very business decision. Jadi Jets lagi-lagi mungkin ini berkahnya Andra ya. Andra tuh rajin sholat. Masih single lagi kalau lu pada butuh cowok. Jets lagi-lagi left in the altar. Mereka punya second overall pick, tapi nggak bisa pick quarterback.
Nggak jadi apa-apa.
Ya, jadi cuma buat sekedar itu aja ya. How crazy it is right now in the college football gitu. Jangan kaget kalau semakin banyak quarterback nunda-nunda mereka declare ke NFL, kayak Arch Manning maybe, atau nanti ada siapa lagi. Nah tuh, itu see that, itu foto Derrick Henry di Alabama, foto pakai dengan you can't tell me dia nggak dibayar, man. How can he afford Ferrari?
Itu duit haram tuh. Waktu itu duit haram.
He lives in the hood gitu kan, gak mungkin dia punya duit untuk beli Ferrari gitu.
Tapi belakangnya mobil
duit makan aja pas-pasan.
What the? Ya, lu lihat tetangganya mobilnya pick up truck terus dia punya Ferrari.
Itu tetangganya mau shoot out itu.
Jadi he's part of the Crips gitu kan.
Buset, itu dulu waktu foto keluar heboh coy internet, kayak what the hell Saban did. So That's crazy. That's just how crazy college football work and quarterback. Tapi yang will even be crazier next week nih adalah divisional preview. Wah, minggu ini kita dapat 2. Ini game seru banget nih. Again, this is the best on the menu, guys. Patriots versus Texans. Gila nih.
Here
Ini
we
2.
go.
Nah,
Here we go, baby. Let's fucking go.
gila sih. Ini 2 juggernaut. Kalau lo lihat statsnya, more defense-wise, probably Texans has the best defense in whole NFL. Tapi Patriots is not that far. Patriots have way better offense dibanding Texans. Cuma nih, kalau lu sering nonton Texans atau mulai akhir-akhir nonton Texans, atau lu ngikutin Texans aja di Twitter, mereka tuh terkenal dengan only 4-man rush with no disguise. Jadi kayak istilahnya fuck run and fuck out defense. Jadi kayak lu gue set 4 pemain gua, lu gak bisa blok. Sisanya mereka main cover, correct me if I'm wrong ya, kayaknya mereka main cover 3, cover 4, ya kan? Cover 1, ya.
Mereka
di belakang.
Jadi sedikit oke, benar juga sebenarnya mereka kind of variative in their coverage, tapi mostly mereka kan main 4-man pass rush, 2 linebacker dan juga nickel defense. Mereka punya 5 defensive backs. Dan kebanyakan mereka main di cover 1 safety dengan Kellen Bullock main sebagai single high safety, lalu juga untuk 4 defensive back lainnya mereka banyak main man to man. Karena I would say very confidently bahwa Derek Stingley Jr. number 24 di defense itu adalah the best man-to-man cornerback in the NFL.
Better than Sauce Gardner?
Better than Sauce
Yes.
Gardner.
Yes.
Better than Patrick Surtain.
Yes.
Oh.
Musim
Better
ini
than
iya,
Joey
gue harus
Porter.
mengakui
Yes,
musim ini gokil dari Stingley.
Derek Stingley itu juga dulu sempat agak banyak yang menyaksikan karena mereka waktu itu megang third overall pick, mereka pilih Derek Stingley instead of Sauce Gardner yang sebenarnya secara college career emang lebih proven gitu. Tapi Derek Stingley is a very talented cornerback, dan juga selain Derek Stingley sebagai the anchor of the defensive backs, mereka punya a lot of great players di situ. Jalen Pitre yang menurut gue harusnya itu adalah all pro. Dia bisa main di mana aja, main slot, main safety, main linebackers, terus juga di dekat line of scrimmage untuk ke-blitz, untuk stop running games. He's everywhere, man. Jadi dengan 4-man rush, dengan edge rusher dua-duanya all pro, first team all pro Will Anderson, second team all pro Daniel Hunter. That's one of the best defense I think in Texans history dengan komposisi tim kayak gitu.
Tapi Oka, gue punya pertanyaan nih buat lo nih ya. Gue di sini ada concern kan. Concernnya sebenarnya bukan di defense. We know Texans have the best defense in the league. We know, ya kan. Ya concern kita sekarang ada di quarterback si Stroud. Patriots baru aja nge-pressure Justin Herbert. Gue ngeliat lagi again di Summer Sport ya, 30% blitz, 60% on his drop back gitu kan. Kayak kita tahu Justin Herbert Chargers punya OL yang buruk, tapi although it's not the whole problem ya, it's a different conversation. Tapi again, Texans OL juga this year is not that good, right? Terus kemarin walaupun menang 36, CJ Stroud 1 touchdown, 1 interception, 5 fumbles. His ball security agak takut gitu, dan ini dan lu bakal ketemu Patriots yang defense-nya juga bagus ya kan. Defense Patriots nomor 4 in terms of scoring point, right?
Yes.
So it's not gonna be easy defense. How concerned are you with CJ Stroud right now? How do you think Texans can win this game knowing kalau bad offensive line kayak Chargers saja baru di abuse? How do you think CJ Stroud can win against this?
Sebenarnya concern utama gue pas pertandingan kemarin awalnya bukan tentang a lot of fumbles gitu, karena this team only lost 3 fumbles sepanjang musim ini. Texans offense, mereka cuman fumble loss like 3 times sepanjang musim. Dan pertandingan kemarin itu udah fumble 5 kali dan lost twice. Jadi itu sebenarnya pas kemarin gue nonton itu gue ngelihatnya either tangannya CJ Stroud licin atau banyak snap yang agak low dibandingkan biasanya, karena centernya waktu itu Jack Andrews juga sebenarnya juga bukan center utama, sebenarnya center utamanya itu namanya Jared Patterson. Dan Jared Patterson either he's injured atau dia banyak digeser karena beberapa kali ada offensive line yang cedera, jadi dia harus ganti ke posisi lain. Berarti ya dua kali lost fumbles itu sebenarnya hampir bikin gue kayak udah gregetan nontonnya, karena it shouldn't be that close gitu. Kayak masuk fourth quarter skornya masih
ya sempat kayak masih 6-7 kan, abis itu baru 36 aja kalau nggak salah.
Dan langsung 23 poin in the fourth quarter alone. Tapi 23 poin itu juga dari dua defensive touchdown. So,
yes.
ya, gue masih memerlukan kayak lebih banyak bukti lah seenggaknya. Dan pengennya tuh offense-nya ya much better dibandingkan pertandingan kemarin gitu. Ya, they're lucky they're still facing Pittsburgh gitu. Belum nanti kalau misalkan I think New England will give much more fight di sini, apalagi dengan Drake May. Yang menurut produser Andra dan juga Chief Amar itu adalah kan the MVP of the season.
Better than Matt Stafford, mind you.
Oh, the 1 yard 5 still touchdown is a
1
touchdown,
yard
boys.
merchant ketolong sama Devante
Adams. 6 points. 6 points is 6 points.
6 is 6, man.
Yes, 6.
From being ethical. Meanwhile, Drake May. Ethical Hooper. Legit MVP player.
Ethical Hooper dari Drake May akan melawan ethical defense dari Houston Texans.
On God, I'm scared as fuck.
Dan produser Andre juga sempat ngomong juga kan kalau he's very scared about Texas defense, and menurut gue everyone I think will say the same. Karena not only Texans juga statistically the best defense in the NFL, they are battle tested. Mereka udah pertandingan regular season kemarin lawan mereka juga nggak sembarangan. Mereka lawan Rams, mereka lawan Buccaneers, mereka lawan Jaguars, Ravens, Seahawks, 49ers, Broncos. 2 kali lawan Jaguars.
Not an easy schedule.
Bills, Chiefs. Dan Chiefs dengan
easy schedule.
Dua MVP quarterback, dan mereka bisa nahan itu. Bills 19 points, Chiefs 10 points. So I think the arguments about who's the best defense is harusnya udah no question about it. This is Texas.
Nah, gue pengen di sini tanya Amar nih ya kan. Patriots agak sedikit struggle ya lawan Chargers kemarin. Jesse Minter and D'Amico Ryans employed very very different defense kan. Jesse Minter itu lebih he implement a lot of these guys, playing a lot of cover 3, cover 4, cover 6. Tapi mereka live on that disguises, rotations, ya kan. That's Jesse Minter defense. Sedangkan di Texans itu lebih more honest rush for defense, right? But very scary. What do you think? How do you think Drake May can stop this for rushman and the path to win to score more points than Texans minggu ini?
The thing about this Patriot team is that they cannot block. Maybe producer Andra will agree with me on that. We dearly miss Will Campbell. Kemarin juga pas lawan Chargers banyak kesempatan yang akhirnya terbuang sia-sia karena kita nggak bisa protect Drake May. Yang padahal di syarat podcast patriotisme udah didoain, ya Allah lindungi Drake May.
Yeah, you should watch the
you should watch that podcast. Ada Tufail Muhammad making a comeback. God damn. I mean, we need to block better, obviously. But here's the thing though. Gua mau mengulang kata-katanya Joey tadi. Patriots versus Texans. Number 1 defense versus a defense that is not far off against a way better offense in the Patriots.
Yep.
You do the
Yeah.
math.
Way better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You do the math. Defense yang tipis jaraknya sama offense yang jauh jaraknya, you do the math. Who's winning that? Producer Andra, can you answer that?
Patriots lah anjir ya kali, bos. Masih paham, bos.
Cuma bukannya
Bears in 4, Patriots in 3.
Isn't this gonna be the Patriots hardest match in whole season? Soalnya
Definitely yes.
Nah, dengar ada yang bilang soalnya Patriots schedule-nya easy gitu.
Well,
There's no easy schedule in the NFL. You guys should listen to Game Over by Max Kellerman and Rich Paul. We can conclude that there is no easy schedule in the NFL. I mean, all the teams are wanting to compete. Kemudian kalau misalnya ada easy schedule atau hard schedule, how about the teams like the Browns? How about the teams like the Lions? Mereka nggak relevan selama berapa puluh tahun, berarti mereka nggak pernah dapat easy schedule gitu. It doesn't make any sense. Jadi for me there's no easy schedule. Even if ada gitu, ada aja tim-tim bodoh yang tidak memanfaatkan itu gitu loh. And this Patriots team under Mike Vrabel with great coaching and then all the things that comes together. I mean, Steven Diggs, kemudian Mac Hollins, and then we have our own Walmart wide receiver guy siapa, Elton Chisholm, right? I mean, it all comes down together for this Patriots team. Iya kan? Elton Chisholm kan? Yeah, the producer Andra can add me in on that. Again, this team, I love this team. They have what it takes to move forward. Drake May has been playing really well. He makes all the throws. He makes it count. He's the MVP, no doubt about it. Fuck Matthew Stafford, 1 yard person. I hate him. May for the MVP. We'll meet in the Super Bowl, Patriots versus the Bears. And for the sake of stability, the Patriots have had enough of Super Bowl titles. This one you should give it to the Bears. So everyone can be happy about it, okay? That's for me.
Oke.
Tapi gue mungkin melihat kayak kita bikin cocokologinya ya, karena the last time Bears menang Super Bowl di tahun 1985 berarti itu adalah 40 tahun setelah Bears masuk Super Bowl. Siapa lawannya Chicago Bears waktu itu? New England Patriots. Itu mimpi dari Amar. But this Texans team, they crush your dreams, they crush your spirits, and they obliterate your souls. That's what happens with all the teams yang kita kalahin kemarin. Gua juga akan mengutip kata-kata dari Jalen Pitre, di mana di press conference itu dia bilang, God is best, nomor 2 adalah Texans defense.
Yeah, that's right. That's called as quote though. Can't lie.
Yeah.
Oke.
Nih ya, gue mau ini sih, mau coba ngajak kalian sedikit bayangin sih. Ini dari perspektif neutral fans. Let's say Patriots kalah lawan Panthers. Let's say that. Well, it's not going to happen, but let's say that that's happening. And then the Bills also kalah lawan Broncos. Itu kayaknya defense nomor 1 sama defense nomor 2 itu bakal seru banget sih. For the AFC Championship itu bakal seru banget.
Yes.
And whoever winning that game, my take is going to win the Super Bowl. I mean, I know the offense, ya itulah gitu. Apa mau bilang? Tapi these two teams, the defense that Ray brought, I mean, personalnya Texas ya, Oka tadi udah sebutin semua. I love Jalen Pitre, I love Will Anderson. Masya Allah, gue takut banget. Knock on wood, gue gak mau break gue kenapa-napa. Also, the Denver Broncos, mereka punya Pat Surtain, mereka punya
Nick Bonito,
Jonathan Cooper.
Ngeri tuh, Masya Allah, Subhanallah, itu ngeri sih. Dan bakalan jadi defensive matchup yang mungkin kalau orang yang nggak gitu suka banget NFL kayak ini bosan nih, nggak ada poinnya gitu. But it will kind of remind me of how it went like berapa 3 to 4 years ago when the Patriots win against the Rams itu kan juga defensive battle juga ya.
Yes. Yeah.
So itu bakal seru banget, and whoever come out that match as a winner will win the Super Bowl. That's my take.
Yeah, that felt like Super Bowl untuk die hard fans ya, yang memang enjoy football terus kayak melihat.
I'm going to love that match as a neutral.
Yes.
Yeah.
Udah nggak ada, kalau udah kayak gitu gue udah nggak ada beban, gue akan menikmati pertandingannya aja. I will joyfully, cheerfully watch the game gitu. Nggak stres gue. But it's not going to happen again. It's not going to happen. Patriots versus Bears.
Ya, sebenarnya juga ngulang ke 10 tahun yang lalu ketika Broncos terakhir kali jadi first seed itu di 2015. Peyton Manning on his last leg, udah mau retire, tapi dia di-carry sama one of the best defense I think in the
Von
last
Miller.
Von Miller,
Miller,
DeMarcus Ware, Chris Harris Jr., Aqib Talib, semuanya itu kayak all-star studded defense yang nge-carry Peyton Manning yang secara performance
udah habis lah.
Udah nggak ada arm strength itu to the Super Bowl. Itu emang ya mungkin udah terakhir kali di mana defense really carrying the entire team ya. Jadi nggak cuman offense yang bisa nge-carry, tapi defense actually can win championship. Dan itu contohnya
we
dari
can see that also this year.
Yeah. But I think Texans can topple that dan Denver Broncos yang kemarin juga emang juga top 5 in the terms of defense. I think Texans has a really good chance, dan ini adalah kesempatan yang paling gede, paling besar untuk CJ Stroud, untuk DeMeco Ryans, untuk Houston Texans overall, untuk bisa making a run into Super Bowl. Karena dibandingkan kayak tahun-tahun sebelumnya, kayak let's say 2023 gitu, 2023 gue paham lah kalau CJ Stroud still a rookie, menang playoff game, I think is very good achievement gitu. 2024 wildcard game lawan Chargers, CJ Stroud nggak meyakinkan, tapi defense carrying the whole thing. Abis itu kalah sama Chiefs, it's alright gitu. Gue tahu Chiefs having a lot of dark magic gitu kayak kita bilangnya, tapi gue masih agak paham lah kenapa bisa kalah. They have a lot more experience dan mereka main little less mistake dibandingkan Texans. But this year dengan Texans yang sebelumnya terakhir kali kalah itu adalah di week 9 lawan Denver Broncos, di mana CJ Stroud kena concussion, Davis Mills masuk, dan waktu itu mereka kalah only by 3 points. The last field goal dari Will Lutz. Setelah itu they went on a very big tear. Jaguars, Titans, Bills, Colts, Chiefs, Cardinals, Raiders, Chargers, Colts, kemarin Steelers. So this is like the biggest chance buat Texans, apalagi untuk DeMeco Ryans dan juga CJ Stroud, untuk ngebuktiin bahwa Texans itu juga bukan cuma penggembira di divisional round gitu, tapi they can make a run towards the AFC Championship, they can make a run towards Super Bowl. Dan gue berdoanya kayak mereka bisa gitu, offense-nya bisa bagus lagi, at least kayak 2023 lah gitu, dibandingkan kayak pertandingan kemarin yang menurut gue very much off everything. So, except for Woody Marks is a freaking stud, man. 100 rushing yards.
114 ya kalau nggak salah.
114, 116, 1 touchdown. So all the things are there, all the weapons are there, all the defense, dan juga secara personal mereka menurut gue punya lah pemain-pemainnya. This is the time.
I think this might be the best chance Texans untuk menang the whole thing ya. Again, walaupun offense-nya lagi stuck, they have Charlie Kirk, kalau kata Stephen A. Smith, Woody Marks, Nico Collins, and this is literally the best karena gue nggak ngelihat as all the AFC team have flaws, right? Bills have their own flaws. Broncos, their quarterback is actually the own flaws, right? Patriots good offense, tapi they don't have that alpha receiver. Drake, they put a lot on Drake May. So I think if there's anything, this is Texas best chance to go deep. Dan mungkin akhirnya tahun ini yang menang Super Bowl nggak backgroundnya dari offensive lagi. Soalnya terakhir Bill Belichick yang punya defensive background dan menang Super Bowl. It's been a while. Dan well, I guess that's all for today. Gue cuma ada satu quick question aja. Who win the rest of divisional matchup?
Okay,
Let's go.
Broncos going to win.
Mhm.
Biar dia diam aja gitu. Itu Bills Mafia, and I mean Haley Stanfield is also rooting for the Broncos, right?
Yeah.
You should look up on the internet. 49ers Seahawks. 49ers are banged up. They don't have the defense to guard or to hold the fort against JSN and Sam Darnold. Rams versus Bears. Bears in 4.
Bears in 4. Oke, kalau Oka siapa?
Sorry, Patriots Texans.
Patriots Texans, ya. It's
obvious.
Obviously.
Obviously.
Kalau Oka,
gue akan stick with my prediction yang udah pernah kita posting. Broncos will win, Texans will win, 49ers will win. Menurut gue 49ers itu very sneaky dan mereka baru aja kehilangan George Kittle, tapi gue rasa kayak Kyle Shanahan can pull something off dari situ. Dan juga Rams will win. Jadi match-up-nya itu antara di NFC, antara NFC West, sedangkan di AFC akan bertemu dua defense terbaik di NFL. Bisa
Sometimes I wonder, Oka, why did you have this job? You know no ball, man.
Oh, okay.
Well, I can wait next week episode, man. Parah. I can wait for next week episode.
Let's visit that on the next episode. Let's go.
Let's see next episode ya. Kalau gue simple aja, gue
Bills. Beda semua ya, gue sama Oka ya. Cuma sama di Broncos doang kayaknya ya.
Iya, betul. Kalau gue sih Bills, Seahawks, Rams, sama Texans.
Hell yeah, baby, let's go.
Yeah.
The host is also apparently no.
Oke.
Emang cuma Mas Raffi yang ngerti football nih.
Okay, that's all for today. Thank you everyone.
Thank you for having me, guys. Always happy to be
here. Thank you, Chief, for coming to our episode.
Yes, and then remember guys, follow us in every social media, Warkop Media, di Instagram, di TikTok terutama kalau lo melihat breakdown Kevin Patulo. Also, Andra sekarang udah jadi bintang di Kemal Pahlevi. Kalau lu pengen hear more Andra, lu harus cek di Kemal Pahlevi Sports ya, di Kemal Sports.
Pemain tetap.
Sip. Itu aja dari kita. Have a nice day and see you after this divisional matchup. Bye-bye.
Good job by you guys.